Well, I appreciate you talking to me today. I want to know a little bit first about kind of how you were able to kind of get in with Eagle FC. Was it, they wanted you to fight on it didn't matter who, or were you approached kind of with an opponent? How did that all come about?
Yeah, it wasn't, it, we were kind of, we fought in, I think the end of October. And then I told Jason House that the main, obviously I want to get back in the UFC or Bellator, but I want to stay active. I don't want to wait 6 months to, hopefully get a short notice fight and sit around. I'm willing to roll the dice and fight another tough dude. That's kind of what I told him. So then he, I don't know exactly how he got it. I know Ali guys got a bunch of dudes on the card. So I don't know how Jason got me the fight, but he just said, "Hey, this one's up." They offered the fight, and it was Ray Borg, and so I always say, like, does it check the boxes? Like, is it a good opponent? That check that box. Is the pay decent? Definitely check that box. And so to me, as long as those boxes are checked, I'm ready to go.
So what was your first thought when you heard it was Eagle FC and it was Khabib's promotion? Was that like a box you didn't think you needed checked that got checked, or was that just kind of a cool bonus?
Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that I got to fight years ago on Nick Diaz's show. He did a show in Stockton. He did one show. It's called War MMA. And I got to fight one of his guys. So I got to fight like a Stockton, Manteca local Cesar Gracie jiu-jitsu guy. And so the Diaz brothers were like my heroes. So I got to fight for like my MMA hero. And then even though I fought one of his guys, and then now I get to fight for Khabib. So again, a legend of the sport, so yeah, I mean, it's just cool. I mean, I don't really know, I'll interact with the promoters and the promotion next week. You always get a different vibe from promotions. I will say my last couple of fights, I've fought for an organization called XMMA, and they've treated me really good. They treated all the fighters really good. So I'm hoping to have another good experience, with Eagle FC.
Have you seen the arena yet? Either in person or in pictures?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in person, but I did see they posted a couple of pictures. It looks almost like a UFC Apex type deal where it's like a warehouse or something that's this streaming service is the sponsor or the owner. I don't know the whole deal, but yeah, it's kind of interesting looking for sure.
Yeah, it's actually, it's in the old Nickelodeon studios where they used to film Double Dare and all those shows on Nickelodeon. Yeah, you're right. It's like an Apex. But it's a little bit fancier, I think, which is, I think, pretty cool. Are you excited to kind of fight in that kind of environment, or have you been fighting like that because of the pandemic where it's like kind of small?
Yeah, the last show that XMMA did was in Miami. So this is my second time in a row fighting in Miami. And it was a pretty small, it was at the Miami University, the University of Miami's basketball stadium, because it had the big U above us. But it wasn't a ton of people in the crowd. It was a lot less than it was almost like so few that I was like, this is kind of weird. There's not a lot of people here, and I don't know if that was on purpose or they just didn't sell a lot of tickets. I'm not really sure, but I've never fought with no crowd other than like, the people involved in the show. But I'm kind of excited. I think I like watching them like that. I like watching the ones at Apex and getting to hear the thuds and everything. It just brings it to life a little bit more. And I remember back, I'm sure you remember too, like back in the Pride days and in Asia, and how silent that environment could get. So to me, I was joking about this the other day. I was like, some of my best fights are in the gym where no one's there, so maybe I'll have my best performance. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of fighters saying like it feels like a sparring session. And I don't know, I'm not a fighter, so I wouldn't know, but I would feel like I wouldn't want that, because I would feel like maybe I would be too relaxed and I wouldn't be like on guard enough. But I guess I don't know, I'm not a fighter, so you guys like it.
No, I get that sense too. Like it would feel like a sparring session. So then the question becomes, how do you spar? If you do spar where it's like a point sparring thing, and every time you spar is like kind of like back and forth and being friendly, or do you spar like you fight, just with bigger gloves on? That's how I spar. So if it feels like a sparring session, that'll pretty much feel like a fight, because I spar pretty hard. So not every day, but still get some hard sparring sessions in. So
what did you think when you heard your opponent? Like, what were your initial thoughts of the matchup?
Coming off of the John Dodson fight, the last fight. So, Ray Borg is right in that. I mean, it's kind of weird that I'm fighting two short guys that used to be 125ers that both, I think, have spent a while now at 135. So I think that's the weight they're, I doubt either of them would drop again. Maybe Dodson, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, another good name. I think that you beat John Dodson and Ray Borg. That says something more than just going on a win streak outside the UFC. So, and I'm really at the point in my career where I can't go the Sean O'Malley approach of working my way up to the top 15. Like, either I'm in the top 15 or I'm not. Let's find out. I want to see how high I am. And so I think that's another kind of strategy that we've kind of been trying to go with, is we want to make real statements outside the UFC, so that if you end up back in the UFC, or if it is Bellator or whatever, they're ready to throw you in. Maybe not, obviously, what I would prefer to have a ranked guy right off the bat, but maybe someone right below that who they think's a killer. Use me as a springboard. I'm fine with that. That's who I want anyway, to get me a fight against guys in the rankings. So I'm excited for it. I think it does send a message to Sean Shelby and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned wanting to get back in the UFC or Bellator. So I'm assuming you're taking Eagle FC as sort of like you said, like a launching point into one of those organizations, or is there a chance that you could say, hey, you know what, this is actually something I could stick with for a while?
No, I'm not outside. I'm not really excluding that idea for sure. I could stick with the Eagle FC. That they're paying, I mean, just about what I would make in a first fight back to the UFC. So the pay's pretty good. Now, if I had, an offer to the UFC and an offer to Eagle FC, as far as signing long-term with them, because this is just a one fight contract, there'd be a lot of things you'd have to consider, but yeah, as I'm not opposed to, I'm at the point where I'm just a part of it is me wanting to see how far I can go at this later stage of my career. And I feel like I'm in the right place mentally and physically. I'm still there and I just feel good. And then also the financial side of it. And, I realized I'm probably not going to be on Forbes list anytime soon, but does that, I'm a pretty easy, minimalist, simple guy anyway. So I don't need to be a multi-millionaire, but if I could, put together a few stacks of cash and then ride off into the sunset, I'd be cool with that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, are you a high school history teacher?
Yeah, I teach AP US history.
So what's your favorite subject, or time period, I guess, within that to teach? Because I'm obsessed with history. Or are you so sick of it now?
Oh no, I could talk history, politics. I love political science and just social science in general. I'm not the kind of history guy who's a crazy history buff, dives into the Civil War era and wants to have the memorabilia, and I'm not like that, but I am very interested in studying the social, I think the social and the economic and just the aspects of how our species moves around. But my favorite era to teach is probably the second wave of the industrial age in the United States in the late 1800s, early 1900s, just because I think it's so comparable to today.
Do your students know that you fight? What do they think of that?
Yeah, they know. I've got one of my old UFC banners when we used to have the big banners. I've got one of those hanging up in the classroom. That's all I really have. And I don't talk about it too much, but they know I fight. Some of the boys are more interested. A lot of the guys on the wrestling team I know. So they'll talk to me about it, and people ask questions sometimes, but I'm not really out there talking about it all the time. And I think that's kind of how I prefer it, but yeah. It is cool. And some of them watch and follow and stuff. And so, yeah, it is cool.
Are you going to be able to have any family or friends come to the fight? I mean, I don't know how that works with, because it is such a small arena and private. I don't know if you're allowed to bring anyone.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I I have one friend who was already. I mean, he lives in Houston. I live in California, and he travels wherever I fight, and he's just going to be in my corner because they're not selling any tickets. So I was like, well, I've got 2 cornermen. I think I could have 1 more. So he was in my corner my last fight too. So my wife and kids are staying home. My youngest hasn't been on a plane yet, and I don't think the first time we do it, it should be my wife by herself on a long flight to Miami.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do like a Oregon, Washington, like short, something short. So I don't know.
Yeah. And then I guess my last question for you is, do you have a prediction?
I can see this fight. I always envision finishing the fight. I know I have the power to do it. It just has to. I have to land something clean, and follow through with it. I think I'm excited because I've moved to the Central Coast 2 years ago. So I moved from the Central Valley of California to the Central Coast, and I trained at the Pit. And I've just been learning and trying to like soak in this system that they have here. And a lot of the improvements I've made over the last 2 years have been in the wrestling, specifically the wrestling defense, cage work, kind of situations. So, and I don't really get to show that a lot because a lot of guys aren't shooting on me all the time. So I'm excited. I'm hoping he wants, obviously I want to strike, but if he wants to wrestle, I'm excited to maybe showcase some of the stuff I've been working on for the last couple of years. So I don't know if I have a prediction. I think if it stays striking long enough, I've got a good opportunity to land something clean and knock him out. But I'm more excited to have him shoot on me so I can show off some wrestling defense.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. Take care.
Yeah.